Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. I have no words to describe what we saw today because this team has hit a new low and it's way, way, way too frustrating now. It's been two managers the entire first half of the season, and this team has never improved. It's just always gone downhill. And even when you bring in some fresh blood into this team, it only makes it worse. Only makes it worse, guys. And it's it's impossible to understand this team. From first last year, 20 points above the others, which is, by the way, about 6 or 7 wins, to now ninth in the table. Ninth. Guys, this team has to start worrying about going down a division. That's how bad it is. It's 4 games without scoring a goal now. And guys, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? It's actually it's actually bad. Like, not bad as in, oh, we might not get Champions League. Like, no, this is actually bad to the point that we could go down to second division at this rate. That is what the stats are saying. If we consider the last 3 months, we are basically the worst team. Maybe not just in Italy. And guys, I mean, we also have important games coming up in the next few weeks. I mean, we have to go and play against Barcelona, for example, in the Champions League. What are we going to do there? Guys, come on. We can't win against Torino. What are we going to do against teams that are in the Champions League? Let's see some comments, guys. Today, I don't want to sit down. Today, I don't want to sit down. Napoli 41482 says, now I'm absolutely pissed off at Napoli's disarray this season. Words cannot describe the disgust. I can't watch anymore. Once I get the feeling we can't turn it around, I shut the game. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely depressing to watch the game once it's 2 or 3 nil down. Mazzocchi comes on, gets a red card. Jacksu says, we're trash. Paul Derican says, this is so bad. We don't look close to scoring. Raspadori is not a lone striker. Why would we set up like this? No wonder Simeone wants to leave. Absolutely no reason. He should have been on the bench. Guys, let's talk a little bit about the whole Raspadori and Simeone thing. All right. Now, two great strikers. Okay, great is a bit of an exaggeration. Two good strikers that last year were performing in a context where the entire team was performing, but they are not strikers are that we can for sure rely on. You never get the feeling that for sure one of them is going to score on the game. You hope one of them might score. You hope, but you don't get the feeling like you did with Victor Osimhen that for sure he's going to score. And even then, Victor is not scoring that much this year. Um, the whole thing about Simeone, the crazy part for me is not whether he starts or not. The crazy part for me is you are 1-0 down at halftime, and the substitution that Napoli makes is to bring on a defender, Mazzocchi, that has one training session with this team. And by the way, he's not coming from Real Madrid. He's coming from Salernitana, literally bottom three of the league. So, what exactly can this guy give us? Why not, when you're losing 1-0, make a substitution to bring on a second striker and bring on Simeone? Why do we bring on a defender on his first day at the club, who, by the way, as I said, is coming from Salernitana, not Real Madrid? Let's go down to some of the comments. Payman says, I don't blame the team. Mazzari is worse than Garcia. Bring Conte or Tudor. Mazzari has to go. This is not a surprise to me. First of all, thank you for the donation. Second of all, at what point can we start blaming some of these players? Because, guys, I know Mazzari is not the best guy out there. I know. And Garcia wasn't the best guy out there. But these are the players that are going onto the field. I mean, there are worst managers out there. This isn't. We didn't get someone who's. I don't know. It can't just be about the manager. It can't. These players have absolutely lost their motivation to play for this club. They did what they did last year. They said mission accomplished and they switched off. And probably they switched off even when Spalletti was there. Because, guys, at the end, under Spalletti, from March onwards, we were struggling. Tied against Salernitana, tied against Udinese, lost against Milan 4-0, lost to them in the Champions League, couldn't make it at home. There wasn't one convincing performance since March. And if we did get a few wins here and there, it was because they saw glory in front of them. They saw the Scudetto in front of them. This team, without that kind of motivation, it can't produce anything. And they switched off in March, guys, last year. Genuine question, says Lawrence Moore. Do we finish top four in Serie B playing like this? Honestly, I wouldn't even know. I, w- I wouldn't fancy Napoli at this point against anybody. I'm dead serious when I say this. You could put up a third division team right now, and I don't fancy our chances. And I'm not even joking. Guys, I mean, at this level, mentality is worth a lot, and these players have none, zero. They walk onto the field, they don't run. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, guys. Payman says, but Dom, we run more than last year. How did we lose motivation? Guys, I mean the thing is that the players have just switched off. Let's go look at the pictures, all right? Let's go see, for example, this situation here. It's 0-0, all right? And you have Duvan Zapata with the ball against Rahmani, and Rahmani gets absolutely played by, gets beat super easy, and we're and we allow them to take a shot on target like this. Like, the players are actually bad this year. Like, from a technical point of view, from a just putting your leg in there, from like Rahmani didn't go in there wanting the fight. You know what I mean? Rahmani was just like, oh, I'm just on this field. Cool, 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 cool. Nice, nice. I'm gonna just stand there. Just I'm just be a cone. It's like you have to go in there and put up a better fight than that. You have to. Then the defense in general this year has been horrendous. And I think maybe to some extent we might be giving Spalletti a bit too much credit for what he did last year, in the sense that Kim, he had Kim, and he could rely on that, and he saved us so many times from situations, and he made everything just way more compact, allowed the other players to play how they want to play. And obviously Spalletti had the benefit of putting him in that position. But who's to say that this team wouldn't be as bad defending this year if we had Spalletti. Like, we don't know. We can't prove with and without Kim. I mean, he played literally like every single game last year, and so it's hard to see what what we did with and with what we would have done with and without Kim, even if Spalletti was there. But this defense is, guys, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Get Rahmani and Jesus out of here, says Mike and Lean reacts. Napoli is such a momentum-based team. It's crazy. And guys, I mean, it 100% is like that for most teams. Like, for example, take a look at Arsenal in the Premier League. I know some of you guys watch the Premier League, but take a look at them. They've not been able to win in the last 5 games. Now, you can't go and tell me that these 5 teams that they played against are better than Arsenal. It's just that once you start not winning, you get a draw, then you get a unlucky loss, then you just spiral. And these are teams that are very momentum based. There's many of them out there. Arsenal, Tottenham, Napoli, all these teams that are not used to winning. That once you enter this negative spiral, like it's done. You can't leave this spiral, and you just have to wait until the season ends, really. And yeah, let's just hope that this negative spiral doesn't go too far down, and we go down to Serie B, because I mean the reality is that that could happen. Honestly, it really could, because this team is not picking up anything. No Osimhen, Anguissa, Zielinski is lost. Around half of attack is missing. Looks like Napoli will lose more point this winter and likely end up being beyond top 10, says Zakaria. Yeah, I mean, no Anguissa, no Osimhen. We knew that, guys. And this is the crazy thing as well about Napoli. We've known that these guys were gonna go to Africa for a month. We knew that since forever, right? Like since last year, and we played in the midfield with Zielinski, who has basically already signed for Inter for next year, without Anguissa, and we're the only team in all of Europe, guys, that we sold Elmas, we sold one of our midfielders a week before the transfer window even opened. A week before. We are the only team that is capable of doing something like that. Whereas you've got Genoa, who, for example, speaking of Dragusin, the next comment, Dragusin went and scored against Inter a few days ago. And he's a player that has been heavily linked with a move to Tottenham, with a move to maybe Napoli. And these teams are playing these players even though they're in the middle of transfer negotiations. And these players are committing to that team, playing well, also because it boosts their potential to get a better contract elsewhere, this and that and the other. But I mean, the club allows them to play, isn't scared about this person potentially getting an injury or all that. Like, they squeeze everything out of that player before moving on. Napoli sold Elmas 2 weeks before the transfer window even opened, in the middle of a crisis, our third best goal scorer last year, in a time when we don't have Victor Osimhen, so we don't have our best. Kvara this year looks like the dumb cousin of Kvara of last year, and our third best goal scorer we let go 2 weeks before. Like, it doesn't make any sense. The way this team has been, the way this club has been managed. So our midfield is Zielinski to Inter. Elmas left 2 weeks in advance before the transfer window opened. Anguissa in Africa. Gaetano, guys, Gaetano couldn't even get minutes under Spalletti last year when we were mathematically champions. We're left with Cayuste, who maybe has the potential to grow into something, but let's face it, he's not ready yet. Not for this level. He could play in a team like Torino, but he can't play in a team that is champion. Not yet. And Lobotka, who has completely taken a 180 degree since last year in terms of his output. Then in defense, speaking of Dragusin and all this stuff, in defense we've got Ostigard, who apparently has gastroenteritis or whatever it's called, and that's another one of these fake injuries that always comes up whenever one of our players is linked to another club. All of a sudden they get injured, just like Elmas was injured before going to Leipzig, just like Politano was injured a few weeks ago when the rumors to Al Shabab or whatever that Arabian team is, it came up. We're the only team that has these fake injuries that always come up. Who is like? How is this club being run, guys? It's honestly the most amateur thing I've ever seen. Rahmani's level the past 5 months is killing me. Do you think Conte can get us back in the Champions League? I don't know. To be honest, man, whatever Napoli ends up doing this summer, the whatever coach we get in, it's gonna be tough. We can't even expect them. We can't even say like I like get us in the Champions League. Like step one would be try to get try to get more than 60 points, hopefully, you know? I think it's gonna be a long process, guys. It's like we're gonna have to start from scratch. Osimhen's probably gonna leave. Let's see who we get. So let's see. Let's see. I don't know if any coach is gonna be able to bring us back to that kind of level. I don't know. I don't know. I hope Dom is in charge of Napoli right now. Yeah, that would be nice. Um, Dom, it won't be as bad as Serie B, but we should prepare for mid-table out of Europe. With that, I think we have a realistic expectation so we can stay close to the squad and stay supportive, I suppose, is Giacomo Castellano. You know what? At this point, I would rather finish mid-table, 10th, 11th, whatever the case may be. Um, Start from scratch, get rid of all the dead weight, not have to worry about the Europa League and Conference League, and then let's see, let's take it from there. But I think one of the worst things that could happen to this club is that if we get seventh or something, and then we have to go into the Conference League and play Thursdays in Estonia and stuff like that, that would suck. I would rather like this team needs a hard reset and a lot of training. A lot of training, especially if we're gonna have to buy some young players, some inexperienced Serie A players, a bit like what Juve has this year, where they don't have any European competitions and they're doing very well. I think Napoli needs a little bit of that. Right, let's sit down because leaning over like that is killing my back. All right. Um, Scudetto got to Addielle's head. Yeah, 100%. He thought this team was good enough. He thought this team was good enough the way it was without making it any better, and it was just completely off. Completely off, guys. Is this the worst title defense of all time? I think so. I think this is quite possibly the worst title defense of all time. Let's continue with the slideshow, guys, because we've been on that photo for a while. Like this image here kills me. All right, it's 0-0, and Torino are playing five at the back. Kvara is one-on-one with a player, so that means he has a possibility to maybe beat his man and get a cross in. And there is one Napoli player inside the box, guys. One Napoli player. What happened to the Napoli team of last year, or even earlier with Mazzarri, for example, against Atalanta, that would bring in 4 or 5 players into the box, at least 3. Because what happens? Kvara looks at the situation and says, well, I'm not going to bother crossing it to Raspadori. So, because he's never going to get it. He's too short. He doesn't have the physique. So, my only option here is to try to dribble and make myself the opportunity to shoot. So, what does he do? He does exactly that, and the ball gets blocked. And then people blame Kvara that, oh, he's too egoistic, he doesn't pass the ball, he doesn't. But guys, like, what option did he have here? Which Napoli player is offering him an option? Caiusta's body language is not offering an option. He's not making a run with an underlapping run. Raspadori is not an option when he's marked by three players. There's one of him. Di Lorenzo is not yet ready to run into the box. Like, there's nothing for Kvara to do. So then obviously he's gonna go for this solution. It's the best thing he had. And then he's gonna get criticized that he doesn't pass the ball. But what could he do? What else would you have done? Cross to Raspadori? Really? This is what happens when you cross to Raspadori. This is what happens. Open goal. Open goal. 2 meters away. And this guy can't who calls himself a striker can't score this. And we are in a situation where we need players to step up. We need a hero. Like, we need someone to step up, and no one is stepping up. No one. Raspadori isn't, Simeone isn't, like Di Lorenzo's not. Everybody's just completely down. Completely down. It's a comedy of errors, says Giacomo. I said it, more than players, we need a proper sports director and coach. Yeah, I've been saying this. I think the level of priority is sport director. Well, not in terms of priority, but like the 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 step-by-step guide is get a better sports director, then let him choose the next coach with a project, agree on a project, and then get some players. But guys, Mazzarri, okay? Mazzarri in yesterday's press conference was saying how he didn't know Mazzocchi and he had his first impression of him in training, which clearly means that he's not the one doing the transfers. But we need, so it's Meluso or De Laurentiis, but I don't trust either of them as well. Like, I wouldn't trust Mazzarri, but I mean, there seems to not even be some kind of communication between them and Mazzarri. And I know that he's an interim coach, but come on, like, Mazzarri saying that he didn't know Mazzocchi is kind of crazy, right? He did say though, like, oh, he's got great determination. Yeah, I've seen what kind of determination he had. Look at that one. That's the kind of determination. Ah, man, it's absolutely crazy. I don't understand the reason why Mazzari put Raspadori on instead of Simeone, says Vinicius. I mean, for me, the problem is more that why did they put Mazzocchi on instead of Simeone when you're losing 1-0? And why don't you play with both Raspadori and Simeone at that point? It's just very obvious. Instead, we're losing 1-0 and we go five at the back, which is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. Talking about these players being completely disgraceful, this dive by Raspadori, that was like, these players, like, what's wrong with them? What is wrong with them, guys? What is wrong with them? What is this dive? It's shambolic. Get on your feet and play the game. These players are, it's such a symbolic gesture of these players are so desperate for a way out that they're looking for cheap penalties. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Why did they get rid of Elmas? Yeah, 25 million. And we still have to get, so we sold Elmas. We sold Elmas. We have the money. We sold him over Christmas, and we're here 3 weeks later after Elmas has already left by 3 weeks, and we still haven't got Samardzic a replacement. Which, by the way, guys, Samardzic is not an Elmas replacement. He's Zielinski's replacement. And it's very clear that we're phasing Zielinski out. He came off at halftime today. It's very, very clear we're phasing Zielinski out. He's signed for Inter. If the only reason why he's starting is because we're very limited right now. But Samasic is the replacement for Zielinski, also in terms of the way that they play. We haven't bought a replacement for Elmas. They probably think, oh, Zerbin will do. Ever since Elmas left, Zerbin's getting all sorts of minutes. Um, started against Monza, got a few minutes today. Guys, if that's the project of Napoli going from Elmas to Zerbin, then we are in trouble of relegation. We actually are in trouble of relegation. I'm not saying it, guys. I don't care about views. I don't care about subscribers. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not doing this to become viral. I'm saying this because I believe it. We are in trouble of relegation if the plan is Zerbin for Elmas. And you can clip me on that, but the problem is that it's true. Why can't we put Kvara in center attacking mid position, just like he's playing in the national team, says Valerie? Because we are so fixated with playing 4-3-3, and the fact is that Kvara is basically suffering from his own success. He was so good last year on the left that if you put him in a different position, then it's almost like it's you become such an easy target if things don't work out. Then people, I can already imagine if you had put Kvara today in the center and we still lose 3-0, people would have been talking about that and would have been saying, oh, look at Mazzarri. He even tried to change Kvara's position. And, it would have been such an easy attack, even though it would have nothing to do with why we lost the game. Uh, and right now, the team is not really in a position to take these risks, but maybe they should. Could have brought on Simeone and Mazzocchi at the same time. Mazzocchi's offensive minded, switched to 3-5-2. Yeah, we could have done so many things. We could have kept Mazzocchi on the bench or played him. I don't have a problem with putting on Mazzocchi necessarily, but I have a problem with not putting on Simeone as your first thought after the halftime. It should have either been Simeone by himself or Simeone and somebody else. But to bring on someone and not have it be Simeone, that's what's crazy to me. Lindstrom could be trequartista as well. Yeah. I mean, Lindstrom is another one of these strange characters. I was at the Monza game, guys. And from the stadium, Zerbin looked like a better player. I know, it's crazy, but honestly, Zerbin against Monza played better than Lindstrom. You'd expect to see a bit of a difference between a player like Zerbin and a player that cost 30 million, but I couldn't see that against Monza. And that's very worrying. Very, very worrying. I think Mazzari tried 3-4-3 with Carr in the center attack, and I wanted to see how he would have played, but the newcomer got red and the plan failed. That's also true. That's also true. It's hard to know what Mazzari wanted to do in that second half. So it got totally compromised by Mazzocchi, which we will get to after the goal. By the way, speaking of Rachmani and his position, this is another chance that Torino had, which luckily Lobotka managed to stop with what was a very risky late tackle. But again, why is Rachmani there? I don't know. I don't know. Um, why did Rachmani? Did you see how Rachmani got beat by Zapata? I mean, you call this defending? It seems like they're going on different directions on a highway. Like Zapata literally took him all the way down to the flank, cut inside, and Rahmani put up 0-0 fight. Absolutely horrible. Zapata here had so much time to pick out a cross, and thankfully Mairo Rui dealt with it. But guys, like even the guys in the box, there were Juan Jesus and Mairo Rui, which were so far away from their man. And then there was a third guy with all the space in behind, and it took a miracle from Mairo Rui to stop Torino from scoring there. And then finally they do score, which, okay, a bit of a lucky goal because this ball gets flicked on, it falls right to a Torino player's feet, and he scores. So a bit of luck, but still, but still. Napoli 41482 says, I agree with you, Dom. I immediately thought, oh Lord, we're about to be in Serie B next season. Yeah. Thank you, man, by the way, for the $5 donation. I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, like it's not even a joke. Like this is actually bad. This is actually bad. Losing 3-0 against a team that's 10th in the league, that's something that happens if you're bottom of the table. Okay, let's put up a poll. Where is Napoli ending this season? And let's see if we. I'm not even gonna bother with. I'm not even gonna bother with many options. I just want to know if it's gonna be top 10 or bottom 10, and uh, and then maybe we nail it down a little bit more later. Why isn't Simeone starting when Osimhen is out though? He scored 17 goals with Verona before we signed them. Yeah, that's that's an issue. He is a top striker. Raspadori and him are different. I don't really have a problem with Raspadori playing. That's the thing. Like I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with Simeone not entering earlier in games when it's clear that Raspadori is not performing. Because there are games when Raspadori did play well. So I don't think it's a problem of he should start ahead of Raspadori. It's just that like if we see that Raspadori isn't playing, then we gotta play earlier with Simeone. And today against Torino, guys, we were trying to play these long balls and counter-attacking football. And I think it would have been better with Simeone. It would have been better with Simeone. Is Osimhen injured? No, he's out in the African Cup of Nations. All right, then yeah, Mazzocchi comes on, guys. Like this, this one was pretty bad. This is a horrible tackle. Like I don't want to hear any justification about his it's his debut, he was excited, local lad, like this is a horrible tackle. Nowhere near the ball. I don't know what he's thinking. And unfortunately, guys, this is the problem when when these athletes just have very few brain cells because what is this? That's super dangerous, nowhere near the ball, and sometimes, man, there should be a bit of an IQ test before before employing football players. I mean, unless you have a talent like Messi, fine, then you can be a little bit, on the low IQ side. But if your name is Mazzocchi, you better at least have a bit of intelligence about you because you don't have much skill. Man had 5 minutes on the field, guys. Yeah, I mean, and now the problem is that he's screwed his career here. I mean, like he's probably gonna get two games red card, and let's face it, like no one's gonna be happy to see him on the field. No one from this moment on. And by the way, he wasn't even having a great season this year. He was having a very average season. A very average season. We went and got a very average player from a very bad team. When what we needed was a midfielder. We are already covered at right back. And by the way, Di Lorenzo is going to play all these games. And if the move to get Mazzocchi was because we were all of a sudden going to make him a starter and play with a three at the back with Di Lorenzo as one of the three defenders, then this team is going backwards from a sporting project point of view. Criticizing Kvara is easy. Yeah, this year he's the player in Serie A with the most fouls on him. Manhunt on him every game, 3 fouls per game on average. Look, here we have to analyze Kvara because I understand that Kvara gets provoked. Mazzarri said it. We saw it against Roma. We saw it against Monza. It's unfair. But guess what? It happens to all the best players. It happens to Vinicius. It happens to Messi. It happens to Ronaldo. Like these players that are the best players on the team, they always get fouls against them. But Kvara is showing that he's not able to cope with the emotional side of things, and he gets too emotionally, you know, too he's too emotional about it. He needs to just like calm down a little bit and focus a little bit on his game and not get distracted by what these players are doing to him. Because guys, that's always going to be the case. ADL messed up the team's motivation because he is stingy. Scudetto did not feel as rewarding as players and Spalletti expected. He didn't give new contracts to Kvara, Zielinski, Spalletti, and Osimhen. Yeah, to some extent, I agree. Kvara should have gotten a new contract. Spalletti didn't want to continue. He knew that the Italy job was coming up. Everybody knew that Mancini was about to leave, and he knew that he couldn't do better than last year. I mean, he knew that this team maybe was not going to be this bad, but they were definitely not going to be as good as last year. And we saw that from March onwards that this team was going down. There was warning signs. There was warning signs. That's what I get aggravated about. There were 2 months of Napoli struggling, March, April, May, and we didn't take those seriously enough. Osimhen got his contract. Osimhen got his contract, and if the logic here is that they should be motivated after signing a contract, well, Osimhen got a contract and then got red carded the day after against Roma. Then didn't stay with the team for the game against Monza, flew out to Nigeria because it was his birthday, and then when the Nigerian national team started their training for the African Cup of Nations, he was late to training, didn't show up the first few days. Even though other players around Europe had maybe played 2 days before, while Osimhen had 10 days off, and he didn't even show up on time. So what I'm trying to say is that he's not motivated regardless of this whole contract. He's like these Napoli players have completely lost their heads. They've lost their professionalism. Got a new salary and will be suspended for the rest of the season. Smart. Oh God. Danger says the thing is maybe that De Laurentiis has a disrespectful manner towards the players and he is too much focused on profits that he doesn't care about the relationship with footballers, the chemistry. I agree with this. I don't think he I don't think he I don't think he's good enough as a man manager. He might be a great businessman. He might be. You know, buy Kim for 18 million, sell him for 50. Buy Osimhen for 70, win a Scudetto, and put a release clause of 130. Great. Great. Honestly, from a business point of view, perfect. From a people management point of view, horrible. Horrible boss. Horrible boss. Zerbin not being good enough doesn't mean he has to take all the blame. True. I mean, the problem is that a lot of people are complaining about Zerbin, whereas we should be complaining about whoever's making him enter the field. I mean, Spalletti tried that last year, and the first half of the season realized after 2 or 3 games this is not a sport for Zerbin, and yet now it's like we're going backwards. We're back to playing Zerbin, but I can't even get mad at Zerbin himself. Like he is doing the best of his abilities. Honestly, like it's just that he's a very limited player. He can't do more than this. Man, what a downfall, Dom. Tough says ID. Man, ID. I uh I missed him in the chat, man. I remember him from like 3 years ago. How you doing? Need you to fix me with your calm thoughts and optimism. I don't think this is the stream for you, buddy. See you in 3 years' time. Honestly, man, like this game has me rattled up. Has me rattled, man. Dom is talking about potential relegation. Yeah, of course I am. Of course I am. Look at our guys. Guys, look at these stats. Let's take a look. You think I'm joking, but I'm not. Loss, draw, loss, win against a team of people that are, man, not even their mother knows them. Win against another team of people that shouldn't be in a competition of this level. Loss, loss. New manager bounce effect. Loss, draw against a team that was hopeless. Guys, like we are honestly in such a bad position right now. In such a bad position. How far are we away from relegation? Verona have 14 points, guys. We have we are closer to relegation than we are to second spot. That's wild. That's wild, guys. Halfway through the season. Horrible stuff, man. Horrible stuff. And we play next. Let's see. Who do we play next? Next we have Salernitana Derby. So relegation battle right there. Then we have the Super Cup. We fly to Saudi to make a fool of ourselves on the world stage. That'll be nice. That'll be nice. A nice little trip. And then we get back and it's tough, guys. Lazio, who we've already lost against this season. Verona, that's never easy. Milan, Genoa playing well. Then Barcelona. Guys, like we're looking at I can't see us winning any of these games. Maybe against Verona. Honestly, I can't see us winning against Lazio, against Milan. I can't see us winning against Genoa. Like it's all black. It's all black right now. I can't see any light. Mazzocchi didn't want to play against his old team. Yeah, okay, fine, but give us at least 30 minutes. At least 30. That 5 was too little, man. Anik Var to play for us at the Nations League in Georgia. If he continues playing like this in Napoli, he would also perform poorly in the Nations League. Whole Georgia is dependent on him, and he can't give use. Well, this year in the Nations League, he did well for Georgia. He scored last time out, and then he was bad at Napoli, scored for Georgia, and then came back and was also beat for Napoli. So, yeah, it seems like at least when he goes back to his national team, he knows how to play well. Zielinski needs to leave. He has been the worst since last season. I wonder why Zerbin and Gaetano are part of the team. Having Juan Jesus and Ramani as defenders pathetic. Yeah. Look, Zielinski, the problem with Zielinski is that he always starts the season very well. Always starts very well, and then he drops off. It's always like that. And when he realized that Inter were gonna come, his drop off was even worse. And guys, Zelinski is a like I love Zelinski. Like I actually love the way he plays, the way he dribbles, the way he controls the ball. It's so elegant, it's so fluid, but at the end of the day, like he's so limited from an actual output point of view. Like he has way too little goals and assists for a person that is apparently the most attacking of our three midfielders. He should be able to give us more than he does. He doesn't get a high enough salary, so he only plays for the Nation League. What's up with Osimhen? He's in Africa, man. He's in Africa, playing in the African Cup of Nations. Dom, if I was Kvara and I saw newcomers like Mazzocchi or Samatic getting around 2.5 to 3 million, it would have resented and affected me. I agree. And I believe Kvara should at least be on 3 million. Minimum. Minimum. He should be at 4, really. Having said that, when you are on the field, when you're on the field and you are one against one with the goalkeeper, are you really thinking in that split second about your salary? Because I don't think that's how it works. And yet, these players are one on one against the goalkeeper and they don't seem to be able to score, which is strange to me. That can't be because of a salary thing. I have no idea what's wrong with this team. It puzzles me. You know, when Ancelotti was around or when Gattuso was around, it was very clear to me like what the problems were. I remember making these analysis videos on Gattuso's Napoli and like he needs to fix A, B, and C, and it was just very clear. Here it's like it's not clear. Like these guys are getting one-on-one chances and they're missing. It's like what like I don't know. I don't know. Attacking wise, we're very boring to watch. Every time we could have passed forward, we passed back until we had to pass long to Raspadori, which usually makes us lose the ball, taking too long to progress. I mean, that's true. We saw it. I don't know if you guys saw the video that I did, the one on the weekend, I think it was. Go check it out if you haven't. It's a comparison between this year and last year. I compared two very similar games, and the biggest difference that we noticed was that we weren't making risky passes forward through the middle. We were playing forward passes only from the sides, from Di Lorenzo and Mario Rui, and from defenders, but we weren't using our midfielders to make through passes to the strikers, which is a big thing that we're missing this year. Realistically, how many years will it take before we can compete for Scudetto again? Asks Napoli Nation. Depends on the coach. If we get a guy that knows the Serie A well, like Conte has won it, has a certain track record, then maybe on his second season. If we go for a guy like Thiago Motta or Palladino, then I think you got to give them a bit more time. But we're far. We're far. Either way, guys, like next year, I don't think we can talk about the title. Next year, we're going to have to talk about potentially top four, like fighting for the fourth spot. The title, it's so distant, guys. It's so distant. At this rate, we're gonna be 40 points off the title if we continue at this rate. 40 points off the title compared to Inter. Vincenzo Bertillo, thanks for showing up for us in these dark times, Dom. Unlike our whole team, you are 10 times the coach Mazzari is. Thanks, man. Thank you for your donation and for those kind words. But guys, by the way, smash that like button. I forgot to say. Um, Look, I don't know if I would be able to solve whatever issue this team has. Honestly, like this team is like it. It seems to be something very very deep within the team because let me give you an example. Um when we scored well, I can't remember which game it was because we haven't scored in 4 games, but when we scored the last time, can't remember which game that was, but when we scored the last time, I remember that everybody kind of went off and celebrated by themselves. And I don't know. I didn't like that. I mean, this team just doesn't seem united. So, yeah. The problem is way more than just technical or tactical. It's something within the changing room has happened, I believe. Mike Ekstad, thank you, man, for the $2 donation. Says Forza Napoli sempre with a little bit of a sad cat emoji. Yeah. Guys, no, this image breaks my heart. This could have been such a fairy tale. This could have been such a fairy tale debut for Mazzocchi. Instead, instead it lasts 5 minutes with a straight red. But also, guys, like now, Mazzocchi is not a great player, fine. But let's talk about how Napoli introduced him. Okay? Like we could have done so much with the fact that we signed a player from Naples. We could have done a whole video with social media about like, oh, finally home, and like I don't know, introduced Mazzocchi to the fans a little bit more with like a small clip of him saying how much it means to him to come back and all this kind of stuff. I'm sure he would have been happy to do it. Also because he's a player that maybe not many people know. And nothing nothing. Like we just get a photo of a stupid photo of him just being like this, and it says "Welcome Mazzocchi," and that's it. Like zero hype. And I'm not saying that if we had done a better social media campaign, we would have won today. Obviously, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that we need we need something. We need a spark. And God damn it, the fans need something to be excited about. And if we can't get excited about a local kid coming back and playing for his team, like we we needed some kind of positive energy. And that's what Giacomo is saying, like zero positive energy. Like guys, I'm not saying this could have fixed us. This I'm not trying to put that message out, but I'm saying like maybe it would have given the fans this 1% extra to be excited about. And instead we couldn't even get that. We couldn't even get that, man. And that's tough. So we struggled. We struggled. The management doesn't know how to handle the situation. And yeah, it's dark times, guys. Khalid, man, thank you. Thank you for your donation, man. And see you later. See you later. Khaled's a good friend of mine here in Barcelona. Shout out to him. Uh, he's gonna be in Saudi actually. I don't wanna reveal too much about your stuff, Khaled, but he's gonna be in Saudi. Who knows if he gets to see Napoli play against Fiorentina in the Super Cup. Could be that could be fun. Actually, don't go. Don't go. It's better you don't. It's better you don't show up and watch Napoli. Save your money for other stuff. Danny Formello says, I stopped watching games after Frosinone. Does that make me a bad fan? I don't know. I feel like unless they get their poop together, I shouldn't waste my time and ruin my mood for the next few days. Now, man, worry about your mental health. Worry about your mental health. Don't do what you got to do. For me, I have to watch Napoli, no? Not because of the channel, not in that kind of sense, but like I feel like I want to watch them. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And if you're gonna suffer too much, then look out for your mental health, man. I'm all for it. Is it possible that this year taints our Scudetto last year? I think so, because in 5 years' time, the story of this Scudetto will always be, oh, what a great year we had, and then it's crazy the fallout the next year, right? So there will always, when we talk about a scudetto from now on in the future, about that scudetto, it will always be like, oh, what a great season, and then it's crazy that this happened. Like this will always be attached to the scudetto year, which is crazy because it kind of gives it a bad aftertaste, no? We will always be thinking like, oh, like damn it, if we didn't let go of Kim and Spalletti and all these kind of things. So yeah. Spot on about the introduction of Mazzocchi. Always the same crap with how the club is ran. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating, right? Also because guys, like unlike other clubs, if there's if there's one thing that De Laurentiis can bring to a football team, it's his entertainment knowledge and expertise. I mean, this guy makes movies, right? He's got a movie company, Filmauro. And Napoli should have said, okay, we have this asset, this capability that we can use to, okay, maybe we're not the best team in the world. Maybe we'll never be the best team in the world, but what we can do is we can be the team with the best social media. And we can be the team that releases these crazy introduction videos and it's, I know it sounds stupid, but it gives the fans something. And we're not able to do that. So yeah, it's like we're not able to leverage our capabilities that we have, which is annoying because we don't have many others, to be honest. Whole team transitions from defense to attack or vice versa. Looks like the players who are playing in Serie D. Yeah. The players, the coach, everything, everyone's to blame, guys. Everyone. Disagree. I think nostalgia will hold Napoli high. This is kind of like the 90-91 season, to be honest. Yeah, but even with that season, right? Like I wasn't alive back then, right? But whenever I do speak about it with family and stuff, they're always like, "Oh, this was a great season," and then we know what happened next, right? Like Maradona left and Napoli declined slowly but surely, and we failed and we went into bankruptcy. There's always like it never just ends there. It's always like, yeah, this happened, but then this downside. So yeah, I wonder. What about the Zerbi? The Zerbi could be interesting because last year he was in super high regard. This year Brighton is not doing as well. And so I think if he stays more with Brighton, the kind of magic there, I think, or the appeal or the wow, oh my God, the Zerbi thing will kind of go away. It will continue to go away as it's been doing this year. So I think he needs a new adventure. Um, Napoli now is a team that this summer I think a lot of coaches will want to coach because the the starting level is so low. So it's the opposite problem to what we had last season or earlier this season, which is the level is so high, nobody wants to come in and risk being compared to Spalletti. Now everybody that comes in is going to be a bit of an improvement. So that Zerbi could be a good option. He could maybe come in and put us in the right positions. So why not? I think the further like it's super weird, but the lower we go now in the table, the more chances we have of actually getting a good manager because the good manager wants to make a good impression, wants to have a good ego boost, and if we end up the season in 10th, then it's going to be super easy for De Zerbi to at least get fifth, and then it seems like he's Jesus. So yeah, guys, this poll, by the way, 116 votes. So thank you for the high response. Guys, take a look at the result. 50% says that we will be in the top 10 and 50% says we won't, which is which is kind of crazy. Um, 58 of you say we will, 58 say we won't. So that's not good. That's not good. 10th exactly, maybe. Yeah, 10th exactly. The Zerbi has style and structure. He replicates Guardiola too much, but I love to see him in Napoli. He is expensive though. I think I think that Zerbi could be a very good solution. But I also like Thiago Motta. If we can get Thiago Motta, that would be incredible. Palladino, out of all the coaches that are like all these young coaches that are linked to us, Palladino is the one that has impressed me the least so far. Um, Against Monza, the team looked very organized, but we did have six chances to score one on one with the goalkeeper. And I did think that he was a little bit too defensive. So I wasn't very impressed with Palladino, to be honest. I know Monza's having a good season. I just didn't really feel it um, with him. Thiago Motta or De Zerbi would be much nicer. I don't know if it's worth going on with the match analysis, by the way. But here's the goal that Torino had. Here's where they could have had another one but didn't. Then here is the corner, by the way, for the third goal. Buongiorno, the Torino center back, is being marked by Lobotka, who loses him in way too easy of a way. And then Buongiorno gets the better of Juan Jesus because he's coming in at full speed. Napoli mark zonally with their center backs. And so Juan Jesus gets beat on the ball. But I mean, this whole idea, like this, why is Lobotka on a center back to start with? And the problem here is kind of like you could say this is Mazzari's fault, but when you go and you analyze things, Napoli has the shortest team in the Serie A. So I don't know to what extent we can do much about this kind of situation. Then again, last year these things weren't happening, so for sure we can do better. This whole thing about having a short team, I'm just gonna put it out there. It's a fact we have a short team, but we got to do better. But yeah, I mean, defending Buongiorno with Lobotka, I think is a new one. It's a new low. Frustalupi got the Primavera relegated, and here he is coaching in Serie A. Dude, it's crazy. The career that the coach has had, Frustalupi, the Mazzari's second coach, he was Mazzari's second, followed him a little bit everywhere, even in Watford and all these kind of places. Then he comes back, coaches the Primavera, gets them relegated, and somehow now he's back in Serie A football. Okay, as an assistant, but still, like you would assume that Mazzari, I don't know, like that the club maybe puts next to Mazzari someone with a better, I don't know, with something better, with better qualities than someone who could get the Primavera relegated. Having said that, the Primavera of Napoli is not that good. Just they don't have a lot of talent. Guys, do smash the like button, by the way, if you are at least to some extent enjoying this live. And there's 100 of you watching still after a 3-0 loss. So thank you to every single one of you. Only 63 likes. It's okay. 37 of you hate me. It's okay. It happens. Ostigard can play with his head at least. Yeah, that's the other thing, man. Guys, Ostigard comes in at the start of this season, scores 2 goals, has a good performance against some teams, and then bench for the last 2 months. Why? And this is because probably Mazzarri is trying too hard to copy Spalletti. And he probably said, oh, okay, well, if Spalletti didn't play Ostigard, then I'm not gonna play Ostigard. Well, Spalletti, you know, maybe he was 99% correct last year in what he did. But if there's one thing that he didn't get right last year, Spalletti, was that whenever Rachmani or Kim was missing, he would play Juan Jesus instead of Ostigard. And guys, last year, Juan Jesus cost us a lot of goals. So Spalletti, 99% good, 1% bad, and Mazzari is copying the 1% bad that Spalletti did. And he's not using his own head because Juan Jesus gives you nothing going forward. At least Ostigard is able to score goals from set pieces. I think he already has two this year, and he played very little. Ostigard on the bench at Rahmani killing me every match, yeah. And Ostigard, by the way, wasn't even able to play today because he's injured with gastroenteritis or whatever you call it. Because, as I said earlier in the video, Napoli is the only team in the world where, as soon as one of your players is in the middle of a transfer rumor, then all of a sudden you get injured. At least have the decency to say, I'm not gonna play him because we're in the middle of a transfer negotiation thing. But don't come out and say officially, oh yeah, this player has gastro. Like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. What are the odds that he has gastro? Politano, when the rumors came out about Al Shibab, was injured. Zielinski as well. When the first words about him going to Inter came up, now all of a sudden he's not injured anymore because we sold Elmas and Anguissa is in Africa. All of a sudden Zielinski's fine. Hmm. Elmas was apparently also injured right before we sold him to Leipzig. And Garcia was the first to talk about this. Garcia over the summer was saying that we had some mercato injuries, transfer market injuries, he called them. Because also this summer there was talks about Zielinski and all these things, and Kvara as well. There was a moment where he was injured in the summer, and there were rumors about these players leaving and all that. And yeah, we're not a serious team, man. We're not a serious team if we can't handle these kind of situations. But it's clear that we can't when your sporting director is someone that should be retired by now. How old is Meluso? Let me Google. And no disrespect to people that are a bit on the older side, but let's see how old he is. Meluso, 59 years old. Guys, come on. Come on. Ah, 59 years old, man. No disrespect to the older people out there, but this isn't someone that can run this project. If you're gonna be 59, at least have some kind of good experience behind you, but not 2 years of gap in your CV. And before that, you were with a struggling Udinese team. Let's see if Mazzari said anything, by the way, or Meluso or someone, because someone has to speak after this game. Last time De Laurentiis came out and apologized and said everything is my fault. Well, let's see what they say. Let's see what they say today. So Meluso, speaking of, spoke to the cameras. Um, let's see. Mazzari still hasn't come out and said anything. That Zone is reporting that there has been a lengthy discussion between Mazzari and the team after the 3-0 loss. Mazzari was obviously not on the bench today. He was disqualified for today's game, but he was able to go down to the dressing rooms after. Meluso does speak, so let me do something. Let me change the picture from Mazzarri uh to Meluso. 1 second. Since we have Meluso, let's make it the right let's make it the right person. All right, let's go, Meluso. He's speaking to the media, and he said, let's see what he said. He said, um, I expected that Mr. Spalletti. I expected that Mr. Mazzarri would come down and speak to the media after the game. However, we had a small reunion with him, and then we went to speak to the team. It was one of these games where we have to say sorry to our people. We are super sorry, and this team is unrecognizable. And we are trying to find ways to stimulate this team and fix the issues and to come back to a normality. We also have a lot of injuries and players that have gone to the African Cup. Even Politano and Juan Jesus were not at the top. These are not alibis, but it's useful to know so that we can comment on things in their entirety. This is not a happy moment for us. Then they ask him about a possible retreat, and he says, tomorrow we will go to the sporting center and we will evaluate what we need to do. So he didn't say no. So there is a possibility, guys, that Napoli goes on a retreat. Last time that Napoli attempted a retreat, there was the mutiny between Ancelotti and the players. So let's see what happens this time. Tony is asking, why isn't Anguissa and Osimhen playing? They're in the African Cup of Nations. They're preparing for their tournament with their national team. He looks so old, Jesus. Guys, yeah, 59 years old. I mean, he's not old. I mean, guys, if you're 59, you're not old. I'm not trying to say that. I know that there's people that watch this that are maybe even older than 59. I'm not discriminating against that. But if you work for a company and you are 59 years old, you better have some good experience or you make way for someone younger. It's just the way the world works. It's the way the world works. We will have to go through it ourselves, hopefully, at some point. I hope we all reach that age and we have to go through that. And the point is that you build up experience so that when you reach 59, you say, you know what? I have a reason to be here because I've done A, B, and C. But what has this guy done to deserve being the sporting director of the champions of Italy at his age? If we were talking about a 30-year-old with no experience, at least we could say, you know what, he has no experience, but he's 30, he's going to grow, and we've maybe got someone in that position for the next 10, 20 years. And by the time he's there for 10, 20 years, he's going to be like a god in that position, But, like, there's no future with this guy there. There's no future. Nothing. He's done nothing in his career. Go check out his Wikipedia. He's done nothing. Let's continue with what he had to say, though. He says, they ask him about, are there any reflections happening at the moment regarding Mazzarri? And he says, we have the maximum trust in our coach, or the coach has the maximum trust, or whatever the right way to say it is, but we have fiducia in Mazzarri. Like we have full trust in Mazzarri from me, the club, and the team. There's nothing regarding Mazzarri. Guys, the problem is that if you are Mazzarri at this point, I don't think the club would sack him because it's clear that the situation is not really about the coach. It's not. It's much deeper than that. It's got to do with many things. It's about the contracts. It's about the motivation of these players. It's about the fitness, everything. But if you are Mazzarri, if you let me put it as a poll. If you are Mazzarri, would you how do you say in English dimettersi? Would you sack yourself? What's the right word? Would you fire? Would you quit? Would you quit? Okay, would you quit? Would you quit? Yes or no? Because this is kind of a matter of like personal dignity, no? Like if you know that you're not the right man for the job, do you stay at the job and bring the whole ship down with you? Or do you say, listen, I tried, but I have limits. I'm not able to bring this any further. Or do you say no because maybe you don't think that it's your fault. Maybe you don't quit because you're like, it's not my fault. Why should I quit? Zakaria says, ADL gave up the season. This transfer cannot fix the problem since the coach is not involved. Yeah, and the thing is that like if your first transfer, guys, if your first transfer in a season like this where you are ninth, if your first transfer is to bring in Mazzocchi for 3 million from Salernitana, who are last, then what is this? We needed to come out and give out a signal. 1st of January, at least some guy of the caliber of Samardzic, which by the way is not Jesus walking on water. He's a very good footballer, but nothing else. It's not like we're going and buying someone for 80 million. Like we're still talking about an Udinese level player, which might come good. I hope it does, but we're not going and buying someone like Valverde from Real Madrid. And I'm not saying that that's what we need, but I mean, at least give us Samardzic on the first week of the Mercato opening. Anguissa has already left. Elmas has already left. Zielinski, his head's gone. He's off to Inter. Forget about him. What are we wasting time on? 1 or 2 million? Like the the messaging, the signals are all wrong this year. They're all wrong, the signals. We need to we needed to we needed we needed to bring something big. And our first thing was Mazzocchi, and we didn't even hype him up. We didn't, and it was so easy. Just make a video about a guy from Naples returning home, and he's gonna bring the right enthusiasm and the right spirit. At least do something like that. Nothing, complete nothing from this club. Let's see what else Mazzocchi, what else Meluso said. Um, he says, listen, the fact that the situation is different from last year is evident for everybody to see. I wasn't trying to justify with the many injuries that our performances, but we just have to make sure that we consider every aspect. No one wants to hide from the situation, but I just want to say that in this negative moment, some extra negative things are piling on. Even in the first half, all we needed was that one of Raspadori's chances entered the goal, and then we would be talking about a different game. Many different episodes are not going our way, but we can't go on like this. And look, this is something that I would have maybe understood if we were talking about the game versus Monza, where we had many opportunities. We had 5, 6 opportunities, like throughout spread throughout the game, and at least we didn't. Even if we weren't scoring, at least we didn't concede anything. But you can't talk about episodes going against you when you've conceded 3 goals against Torino. They hit the post, and they had a chance as well in the first half to make it to score another goal. Like Torino could have had 5 goals. So how can you go in front of the media and say we were unlucky when you created one chance and Torino had 5 opportunities to score and took 3 of them? Guys, like this guy, this is what I'm talking about. Like this guy is not fit for purpose because you can't go and justify this team. We need to go out there and we need to say as a sporting director, he needs to say we're disappointed in Mazzarri. He's not been at the level that we thought he would. He also needs to wake up, and we're disappointed in some of these players. Not that no, oh, we're a little bit unlucky. No, no, we're disappointed in them. These players need to wake up and realize that just because they won last year doesn't give them a pass to do whatever they want this year. That's not how the world works. You don't do something good once and then you can be bad at your job for the next 12 months. Um, so yeah, they ask him about, by the way, like, what did you guys talk about in the changing room? Did you talk about tactical things? And he said, no, we didn't talk about tactical things. We talked about other things. So it's clear as day that at the club, they don't think that the problem is from a tactical point of view or from a Mazzari point of view, but they're talking about things like motivation and all that. By the way, guys, the poll uh, also ends with quite a tight thing, 50% more or less. Again, some of you saying yes, we should we should sack, or Mazzari should sack himself, and others are saying no. By the way, guys, I have these new lights. I want to change topic. I have these new lights, and I was like, oh, it would be nice to put some nice blue, you know, Napoli blue, some nice, ambiance, and maybe look, guys, look at these lights. They're kind of crazy. Um, you could even like have them, like, I don't know, do a bunch of different things, right? Like, let's see, what's that do? A party or whatever. But no, no lights, guys. No lights, or at least no funky blue party lights today. Just dark red lights, or no lights, because Napoli doesn't deserve it. All right, enough with that. I just wanted to show off some new lights, some new gear now that I'm back in the studio. What are my player ratings? Haha. What are my player ratings, guys? The best is yet to come. Glad you brought it up, man. I almost forgot. Player ratings, guys. I don't know if this is something that surprises you, but is it harsh? Is this harsh? Is this too harsh? I don't know. I don't know. Is this too harsh? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think this is too harsh, guys. Like, I gave Simeone a 1, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that, but he did miss one chance. But I actually think Simeone, like, I feel so bad for him. I feel so bad because he puts in a lot of effort and he tries. He really does. And if I was him, I don't know if I would be able to have the same motivation that he has, honestly. Like, your 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 team is really bad. You can't score for 4 games. Your main striker is away in Africa, and you still are not picked to start or to come on as the first sub when you're losing the game. Like, I I think that would crush me as a player, honestly. I think that would crush me. And the fact that he's able to come on and actually put in some kind of effort, I'm gonna give him at least 1 point for that. 1 point for effort. But guys, this team, like, zero for everyone. Not 1 ounce of leadership, not 1 ounce of mm, like dignity. No, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. They don't care. They don't care, man. They just don't care. And then every the game they go and apologize to the crowd like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry." Like, guys, like, what's wrong with you? Like, it's very clear that you're not putting in the effort. Like, show some leadership. I would give them all minus 100. Simeone deserves a zero as well, maybe a zero point 0.5. Now, come on. Come on, a one. A one, because I feel bad for him. Because the fact that he even shows up as a third choice and puts in a, at least tries, has a bit of spirit. I like it from him. Why are we still playing Zerbin? He needs to go now. Yeah. The problem is, man, is like I told you guys, I went to the stadium against Monza and I didn't see any difference between him and Lindstrom. Zero. Like Lindstrom didn't give anything extra, so why not play Zerbin? Like it's indifferent. Lewis C says this is one of the worst Napoli teams I've seen in a long time. Crazy, since most players are the same as last year. It just goes to show how fragile a team is and how the coach is super important and one player such as Kim can be super important. And also how motivation plays a key factor because this team with the motivation of potentially winning a scudetto, I think it just hyped them up so much and then when that went away, like just dead, like this team completely dead. Um And yeah, it just goes to show like how in a team sport, how one or two elements plus motivation can be so important. Like this is a great thing for I guess sports psychologists to go study. Like I wish there was one of you in the chat that's like certified sports psychologist I could have on the show and like we could speak about it. But man, maybe that's gonna be like my next video. Like, go find a sports psychologist and like let's talk about it. I don't know if you guys know anybody. Like, let me know. Like, write to me on Instagram or Twitter. Follow me on there while you're at it. You forget to include context in the Napoli ratings. They're doing nothing since 3 months. Well, I mean, this is kind of context. Like, if this was a game by itself, I wouldn't be giving out so many zeros, but it's the context. It's like, guys, what are you doing for the last 3 months? This is why they're getting zero. Mazzocchi minus 10. Mazzocchi is not even red. It's just black. Like darkness, complete darkness. Zero element of light in his performance. 5 minutes and you get a straight red. Jesus. Why can't we play them? He was okay. Because we're not a serious club. Because when you are about to leave Napoli, then you just fall off the radar. Also, Mazzari said after the Frosinone game, "Oh, Demme played okay. Um, actually, this was surprising because they told me that he never plays." What do you mean they told me? So you're just gonna play players based on if they played under Spalletti or not? How about you go to the training ground and you see who's making a good impact and you play players based on that? Hmm? Instead, him and Ostigard cannot find any minutes this year just because they weren't playing last year. Even though I think that maybe they could be better solutions to some of the players that are currently on the field, even though they were playing last year, these players, because this year these players suck. So yeah. Am I the only one who absolutely hates Cayuste? I haven't hated a mid this much since Walter Gargano. Um, I don't, I don't have such negative feelings towards him. I, I don't think he's an amazing player, but I, look, I think in the second half he didn't play that well. but I've seen glimpses of him that I'm like, I think under in the right context, he could be a good player. Like if we had him last year, he would have been a good player last year. I just think it's difficult for a player who's new to the team, who's young, to come into this context and expect them to deliver well. Um, it's a guy that which doesn't have a history of being like a an important player, which is different, for example, from Lindstrom. Lindstrom is also young, but Lindstrom like was playing at the top level in the Bundesliga, winning the Europa League 2 years ago. So like as a starter, so I expect him, even though he's young, to be a bit more of a leader, take things by the scruff of the neck, and he's not delivering. Whole Napoli team needs a professional psychologist, including De Laurentiis family. I think I think maybe first for the family and then the players. Yeah. Guys, anyways, I'm gonna end the live here. I know there's still a lot of you that are watching. For those of you that are watching, I just want to say like I feel bad for you, for us, for this Napoli loss. I hope this live can bring a bit of a distraction, a bit of therapy, a bit of a smile every once in a while, a bit of comfort to know that there's other people out there in your same situation. If you did like it, do smash the like button. If you have not subscribed, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? Can't believe you watched over an hour and a half and you haven't subscribed yet if you've not yet subscribed. And if you have not been following me on my other socials, then please do so. Please also play the Napoli Predictor game. I will be posting it um, on my Instagram and Twitter. In the description of my Instagram and Twitter, you can find a link to the game where I will be posting the new one for next week. Please participate. If you have played and have not paid, by the way, please do so, so that we can make sure that the prize money is correct for the end of the season. And guys, with that, I will close the show. I hope you guys have a good end to your day and a great week. And I will see you for the next one against Salernitana if I don't make a video before then. So anyways, guys, ciao and Forza Napoli sempre.